Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Broken Past. Today we've got something a little bit exciting, a little bit different than what we've done before. And that is not this Game Boy Color. Instead, we have this. I'm happy to announce that we have our first sponsored video today. The guys at eXtremeRate reached out to me and asked if I would review one of their custom Game Boy Color shells, and I was happy to do so. So they sent me a product, and let's take a look and see what it is that we have to work with. And we have a custom wood-grained Game Boy Color shell. Now, there was a little bit of a mailing mix-up, and they also meant to send me a soft touch red Game Boy Advance shell to show in a different video. And unfortunately, there was a bit of a mix-up in the mail, and instead, they also sent me the same thing, but in a Game Boy Advance form factor. So we're not going to really show this one off. I just wanted to kind of show that they do also have this in a Game Boy Advance format, but we're not going to look at that one today. Instead, we're going to turn all of our attention onto this wood grain Game Boy Color shell. Now, in full disclosure, as I said, eXtremeRate is sponsoring this video, and they have provided this product free of charge, but the review is going to be of my own opinion. Hopefully it's good. You never know on some of these aftermarket shells, but let's dive into it and let's see what we have to work with. And one of the first things we want to look at is which system do we want to put this shell on. If you'll recall from one of the previous mail day videos, we had this Game Boy Color. It's pretty scratched up, the screen is really beat up, the bottom's pretty scuffed, scratches all over, and it's dirty too. We can clean the dirt, but I figured this was a good candidate to swap with this nice wooden Game Boy shell. One of the things, if you remember from the video though, is that it did not turn on. And rather than having another video going over the process of getting this working, I went ahead and off camera, I got it repaired and got it working. It really wasn't too bad to get it working. Kind of the usual factors. The battery terminals had a little bit of corrosion on them. And the power switch itself, it was pretty dirty. So I cleaned that out and we'll see if it works. It's not perfect yet, but we can see that it works just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this one. I kind of bought this one specifically for the purpose of replacing it with this shell, so it's okay with me that it's pretty beat up. So we'll be using this one as our donor system. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and look at what's in the box and look at what they gave us for this project. So to start off with, we obviously have the wood grain shell. Obviously not real wood, just plastic that's made to look like wood. But it looks pretty nice. It feels nice. It looks pretty accurate. Move that off to the side. Let's take a quick look at these screwdrivers here. So we do have a spudger that came included, which is nice. I don't think we'll really need it for this build, but it's always nice to have an extra spudger because these seem to get worn out pretty fast with just the plastic tips. They do also include a tri-wing bit and a Phillips bit. These are okay. If you have nothing else to use, these are fine. In our case, we have some nicer quality tools. So I'm glad they included these, but if you have something better, use those. And in our case, we don't need them. So off they go.
Oh no!
Moving on, we have a 1-year warranty, which is kind of a fun little included piece. And we have the bag of goodies. Let's dump these out carefully. Now it's kind of usually said that the aftermarket pads, the aftermarket buttons, usually are not quite as good as the original. In this case though, for this review video, I am going to go ahead and replace everything with the included material, just in case if you want to replace it and the one that you already have is broken, just use these and we'll see how the result is when we're done. We have the aftermarket sticker, which looks pretty good. I thought maybe it was kind of hard to see. It looks like maybe, I'm not sure if it'll show well in the video. It does have a bit more of a matte finish, so when the light changes it's a bit harder to see, but overall it's not bad. We have the rest of our buttons and power switch. this is nice. We do have, I think this is plastic, but that's okay. A nice plastic screen lens to go over that, which looks fairly faithful in reproduction to this. And lastly, we have the battery terminal and the cartridge guard, and that's it. So far, it looks good. All the pieces appear to be included. Everything looks nice. Nothing seems really out of place yet. You might be able to see it in there. There's a little bit of marking on this power switch. We might need to cut that down. We'll see on that one. But let's go ahead and begin by disassembling this. The rest of the stuff out of the way. And I don't have my soldering mat over here. I kind of wanted something a little bit more with better contrast for the wooden shell. But that's okay, because I'm not going to keep track of these screws. I'm just going to go ahead and throw them all in the box and get them out of the way, since we're not going to reuse these. And let's take the back cover off. I'm going to go ahead and zip this off to the side, because I do want to compare this with the new shell once we're ready. And we'll also remove our 3 screws holding the board in place. And we'll also take apart the ribbon connector. And I guess take our power switch off too. And we can tell on this power switch, again, I'm not sure if it'll focus, but there's none of those little plastic burrs on the side. So I'm not sure if that's going to impact it or not. We'll find out. And we'll go ahead and get this off. And there's the rest of it. Now I suppose really quick, since I do have it out, I did notice that the volume adjuster was a little bit spotty, and we can also tell that the speaker itself is pretty dirty. So I am going to really quick clean that off. Might as well take care of it while we have it all disassembled. Okay. So now we move on to the actual shell. So first off, it really doesn't feel too bad. It's kind of hard to tell, I guess, compared to this. I guess it probably feels about the same as far as kind of the thickness and the feel, I guess, of the plastic. I know some of the aftermarket shells do kind of feel a little cheap. Again, we can tell on this one that it is obviously plastic with some texture sprayed on there. But on the inside, the nice thing is, this looks bad, but the nice thing is the inside battery compartment still has that wood grain look, and I do appreciate that. That is kind of nice. Let's go ahead and pull it apart. And again, we can tell, obviously, on the inside, this is just sprayed that light brown color. And again, the same for this. But I do really like this in the battery compartment. That is pretty nice. So let's start by moving some of this over to here. And one thing I did notice, it does not look like it included, well, it did. Okay. That's interesting. So it does have, let's get these out here. I'll try not to dump them everywhere. It does have this plastic piece here, but I'm pretty sure, I could be completely wrong, but I don't know if the infrared light can go through this plastic that it came with. I'm going to guess no. If I shine this at my lights, I can see that you can see blue shining through here on the actual one, but not through the plastic one. So I guess at the very least, I am going to go ahead and just reuse the sort of the infrared cover, I guess, off the old one. So I'm going to reuse this one. I think otherwise I should be okay to use all the rest of the new stuff that came with it. So that is a bit more of a squeeze to get that to fit in there. But it fits. It's just going to be, it's not going to be fun if I have to try to get that back out. Okay. And obviously I'm going to go ahead and pull these out. I don't need them. And they're pretty gross as well. I will be saving them, obviously, as spare parts in case I need it on a different video or a different project, I guess. But what I need to do is get them out so that way I can get the screen out of here. Now again, if you're doing this, it might be worth going all the way and getting, you know, an IPS screen, the rechargeable battery pack, which obviously this is not set up for. This is just pretty much just a bare bones reshelling of a standard Game Boy Color. So in my case, I'm just going to move all, you know, keep having everything stock as much as possible. Down the road, you know, we might put an IPS screen in here, but for now this is fine. So we're going to do our little twisting motion. It sounds like we're breaking everything to get the lens loosened up on all four corners. Once we have, the whole thing will pop out. And we'll drop it in here. So it's kind of hard to tell if I do this real quick. There is actually sort of a double-sided adhesive on here that holds the screen in place. This new one does not have that. It's probably not a huge deal because everything's going to get press fit in there anyway. Just something, again, to keep in mind. All right, now let's go ahead and start putting the new pieces in. Again, everything's pretty self-explanatory, just making sure that we don't put the A button upside down. We'll drop those in. And put our two covers on. The membranes feel nice and thick. I think these hopefully will have some good texture to them. Some good tactile feel, I guess. Drop those in. And we are already almost there. So the next piece, obviously, is to put the motherboard in. Actually, before we do that, let's take a quick look. Let's compare the new shell with the old shell. I know sometimes they've got different mounting points. It looks like these are all the same. I know some of the aftermarket shells, you know, you have to use both the front and the back because where they mount together, the points are different on the aftermarket shells versus the new shells. But these look like they appear to be pretty much exactly the same from what I can see at a quick glance. So that's nice. I guess if you do want to use an aftermarket part of a shell with one of the with an OEM other half, I guess you can do that. Slide this in. Everything fits in nice and tight. Now let's take a look at our screws. What do we have? We've got one. All right, so they're doing the same thing. The shell screws are tri-wing and the motherboard screws are Phillips. So let's go ahead and put our motherboard screws in. One of the things also to keep in mind on some of these aftermarket shells, that the plastic itself might be a little bit more brittle, I guess, than the OEM shells, which basically means that they're a little bit less capable of you opening and closing them a bunch of times. So the plastic that these screws kind of bite into will wear out eventually, maybe a little bit faster and not hold together quite as tightly. So something to keep in mind on these aftermarket shells. If you're going to swap it out, try to make sure that you don't keep going in and out of the system as much as possible. But the other nice thing is these shells are cheap enough that you could always buy another one if you do it enough times to kind of ruin the shell. But these feel pretty solid. I feel like those bit in there pretty well, and I don't think that's gonna have to worry too much about that coming apart. So let's also go ahead and throw in our power switch. And again, there's a little plastic spur, or a little plastic burr there, I guess. I don't think that's going to matter. We'll see. We'll slide it in here and see if that seems to interfere. It doesn't. It looks okay. Maybe. Let's see. Oh, we do have a little something. I can also see. Let's see. Let's get unfocus here. It's probably really hard to see on that camera, but there's a tiny little bit of plastic sticking out right there that we are going to want to trim off, because that was kind of interfering with the button sliding up and down. And if I had my knife, I'm not sure where it's at, I would use that, but I think I can just use some side cutters here and just clean that up. See if that's enough to fix the issue. Actually, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. See if that's enough to fix the issue. No, it's all right now. Okay, I'm not sure what was going on, why that wasn't quite fitting in there, but I guess once it's in, it's okay. Next, let's turn our attention to the back part of the shell. And again, comparing the two together, they look pretty much exactly the same. All the mounting holes, all the sort of the relief tabs. It's a pretty impressive replication job they had. Okay, so we have so the nice thing is it does look like, so we've got white on this side and the metal on the back side, but it looks like this is actually just sort of a protective cover for shipping, which is always nice, so it doesn't come in already all scratched up. There's a little bit of a bend to it, right? You can kind of see it in the video. Looks like a little bend to the slot. I don't think that's going to impact anything. It'd be nice if it wasn't, but that's okay. This top part, I'm going to leave that top part on there just because I'm too lazy to try to peel that off, and I don't care. So let's go ahead and sit this on here and use the same included Phillips screws for these. And we'll just tighten it all down. So when I tighten it down, I do feel that bump a little bit. It almost kind of stuck it out a little bit more. Not sure if that's going to show in the video. Probably not. It's just a little bit of deformation kind of there in the middle, but I don't think that'll be an issue. Hopefully not. And lastly, I do appreciate also the fact that they have included a new battery terminal. If you don't need these, obviously you can just save these and pull one off the old shell, because sometimes you'll get one, you know, if you're not wanting to reshell, but this is pretty corroded or broken, it's nice to have spares of these. So I am glad they included this. So let's also put that in. Lock that in. And we're ready to finish assembly. Here we go. So let's see. So again, I don't think that bump hopefully will impact anything. My only concern was that it might short out on the board, but I think there's enough clearance that's not going to be a concern. So let's see if everything goes back together. Let's tighten these up a little more. Again, since these are the first times these screws have been in, you never know quite how far they should be screwed in to get it mounted flush. Okay, well, there it goes. And let's take our tri-wing and finish closing it up. Okay, and let's throw some batteries in real quick. If I can find the ones I just had. Let's just make sure everything's still working before we finish putting the rest of the pieces together. Okay, that's good. Let's go ahead and throw the battery cover on. And something I probably should have done beforehand that I didn't do was I probably should have put the lens, the screen lens on first, just to make sure everything lined up and set in place, which I didn't do. So now I've got a little bit of dust on the screen. So maybe something to keep in mind when you do it is to make sure that you put the lens on first. So let's get this off. And this should sit in there. It's a little tight to fit in there. There we go. Take the cover off. And clean up the part that I just messed up. All right. And to finish it all off, we have our sticker. So it did not include a serial number, which kind of stinks. I mean, they've got the spot for it printed on the shell, or imprinted on the shell, but no spot, no actual sticker. Unless I missed it, I don't think it came included. So that kind of stinks. Let's go ahead and put the sticker on. Which is always a task to line up. I think I'll call that good. And there we go. We now have a wooden shell Game Boy Color. So now for a review, what do I think of this compared to the stock shell? And that is a good question. So first off, it feels really good. Once we got the board and everything in place, it feels solid. The plastic doesn't really feel cheap. It feels like a nice solid Game Boy Color. The one thing to notice, so let's bring out, I do have another one here side by side to compare against. One of the things I did notice is it has a bit of an oily texture to it, or an oily, I don't know, it's not really a texture, but like an oil feel to it, which might just be sort of like the mold release that they put onto this. I don't know. I'm assuming it'll probably rub off after a while, so it's not a huge deal. Let's see, what else? I mean, otherwise, it looks pretty good. Even the screen lenses, where I'm not sure how well it's going to show, but the power button with the indicator there as well. They both look pretty similar. The Game Boy Color logo at the bottom. One of the things, if you look at the original, the Game Boy Color, the letters are a bit more bold. Compared to that, there's a little bit more gap in the color. Start and select are both pretty visible. Moving to the side, the volume adjuster, the external adapter, that one looks good. It does include the keychain or the lanyard strap piece there. Moving to this side, we have the off and on buttons. Again, look pretty good. There's some inconsistencies in some of the matching. It's probably not going to show well in the video where the plastic kind of matches up, but that's okay. And on the bottom, for our headphones and our DC adapter, it's not too bad. Again, this is probably really not going to show in the video, but where it shows the polarity of the connector, you can clearly see the positive and minus, the plus and minus on there. You can't see it quite as well on here. Again, I'm super nitpicking at this point, but if I just want to try to do a contrast and compare, but the buttons feel great. The A and B button feel solid compared to the original. They're a bit flatter, maybe. I feel like maybe the A and B of the original are slightly more curved on the top, and they're a bit flatter on this one. D-pad feels pretty solid too. And the start and select, they feel about the same. So it's probably going to be hard to tell. The only thing I'm really noticing at this point, see if I can even try to show it in this video, but on the original, the yellow on the right, all the buttons, including the D-pad, the A and B, and the start and select, stick up just a little bit more than they do on the aftermarket shell, which might even be due to me not screwing the board in tight enough to match with how tight it was, on this one. But overall, it feels good. Let's throw in the usual Pokemon trading card game, and make sure that still works with that small notch in the back on the cartridge slot. Fits in there fine. Let's turn it on. And all that is good. Unfortunately, this is a lot of just reading. I don't have a good game down here at the moment for display, but do I? I don't think I do. But yeah, overall, I'm happy with this. This is really good. So again, like I said, I put in the original infrared cover. I don't think this plastic one is going to do anybody any good. I suppose keep this if you're never going to use the infrared, and if you need something for a different shell for some at least dust protection, keep that. Otherwise, you probably want to make sure you use the infrared one for that. Again, battery cover, painted plastic, so it's obviously not looking the greatest on the inside. But from the outside, even when, the nice thing is you're never going to really look at the inside of the battery cover, but you will look at the inside of the battery compartment as you're inserting and removing batteries. So it's nice that they cleaned that up and made that look wooden textured as well. But everything seems to fit quite nicely. Cartridge slot fits in and out just fine. Again, the power button was a little flaky. I needed to clean that little burr off the plastic. And it's maybe a little bit harder to turn on, but it's really not bad. Volume adjuster, everything works fine on that. So again, if we go back to what this looked like before, this is what we had. I think I bought this one pretty beat up on eBay for 15 bucks. And this is what we have afterwards. Now, prices may vary. I'm not sure what their average price is for these shells. I did some looking online, and I think they're about $20, $15 to $20. But in my opinion, that is totally worth it. Obviously, it's double the cost of just buying the system itself, but it looks nice. I'm probably not going to use it much because, you know, I've got plenty of other ones and plenty of other options to play with. But on the shelf, this just looks a lot of fun. You're not going to see a lot of people that have a wooden, or, you know, fake wooden Game Boy Color sitting on the shelf. So it's a great presentation piece, and it just looks a lot of fun. And it feels good too. The buttons are responsive. Everything seems good. So real quick, before we actually end the video, let's take a quick look at the Game Boy Advance, one of these that they did send, just to show it off really fast, in case you want to do a similar thing with your Game Boy Advance. So we can see overall, it looks pretty similar. We have the exact same wooden finish to this. I'm going to assume the Game Boy, let's see, oh, let's go and pull it out. So we have what appears to be the same wooden finish. I'm going to guess that, yep, in the same way, the battery compartment is, well, it's got a few little marks in it, but it still has the wooden texture in there, which is nice. A small little spur there that probably needs cleaned off. Just, you know, little tiny finishes here and there that you might just need to clean up just a little bit to you know, to finish making it feel as good as it can. I know I have the Venusaur shell that I've shown in a number of different videos. Aftermarket shell that feels really good. So this one feels like it's going to probably be about the same quality, which is nice. And we have all of the other stuff, including our sticker for the back, but it also does not look like it's got a serial sticker, which just kind of stinks. It'd be nice to have a serial number, even if it was the same serial number that everybody else used, but it's okay. I'm still happy with this. Yeah, so final review, definitely happy with this. Really like how it turned out. It's a lot of fun. I don't know. I mean, the big question to this is how well will this plastic or this wooden finish hold out if you do play this a lot? Will it kind of wear down? Will it start to wear, you know, sort of along these edges? Can that wear down eventually? I don't know. Obviously, I haven't played with this. So that's something to maybe keep in mind. So I can't provide any feedback on the longevity of it, but at least initially, I do really enjoy this. I'm very happy with this, and I would definitely recommend this. Again, you know, this is a paid review video, but the opinions and feedback are of my own, and I've been providing those as we've been going on. I haven't actually looked at this until this video, so this is definitely my sort of unboxing first look opinion, and I do like it. So would definitely recommend these guys. I will put a link to their products in the description down below, and you can take a look. I don't know if I'll have an affiliate code down there or not. I don't have one set up with them, but that's okay. I would just recommend, you know, these guys, even without any sort of affiliate code. I think this is a good product, and if you're looking for a nice wooden shell, you know, for the price, definitely worth it to give a little spice to an old Game Boy you have that might be really scratched up like this one. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was informative to you if you're looking at doing something like this. Thanks once again to eXtremeRate for reaching out to sponsor this video and provide me with the product to show in the video. I really appreciate it. You know, if there's any more products that you're interested in wanting to see, I'm more than happy to try to reach out and provide some more product feedback so you can see if it seems like something that you would be interested in doing with your own systems. So once again, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.